everybody! You don't understand! It's Bleach! How can I properly convey... Oh, hold on. Scream, Benehime! Ah! It's that amount of Bleach. It's Uehara screaming, Scream Benehime level of Bleach that we have received. Hold on, I'm going to try something different here. I'm going to actually try to speak into the microphone that's close to me, as opposed to having it on the other side of my desk. Thus continues the saga of will Tekking figure out how to properly use his new microphone. Stay tuned to find out. The action is really ramping up. Okay, so from what I understand, we have received some new Bleach information a couple of days ago. Actually, I really can't make heads or tails of it, but it appears to be some sort of trailer for some sort of animated product that's going to include Bleach characters in it. I really don't know. All right, so at Jump Fest this year, December 18th, it was announced, that was the Bleach panel. There was going to be some stuff revealed there. A lot of people expected there to be some sort of trailer, teaser trailer preview for the Bleach anime that we was supposed to get an actual release date. And it turns out we did. We got one. October of next year. October 2022. I'm just going to say Halloween, because that'll give them the maximum amount of time to actually get it done. And also, the Bleach anime coming back on Halloween would be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and say October 31st, 2022. But for right now, all we know is it's October 2022, all right? Also, we learned that this is going to be airing at a much later time slot in Japan, which means way less censorship. So a lot of the censorship that happened in the original Bleach anime, like remember the time when Uryu was fighting against Ukiura and Ukiura just straight up lops off his hand? That scene was changed in the anime. The scene when Chad's arm got all messed up from Yami, that was censored, obviously. So hopefully a lot of that stuff will be dialed up, actually. We'll see more violence and more gore, because this is the final arc and stuff does get bloody in this one. So that's appropriate. So the trailer is 2 minutes long, and it's been out for a few days. A lot of people wanted me to talk about this. I actually already did. I talked about this during the charity stream I did for St. Jude on Saturday. It was like one of the first things I discussed there, because it was like the day it came out, but a lot of people wanted it to be its own separate video, so I said, all right, cool, we can go through it. So just my perspective going into this, I assumed we were going to get some kind of trailer for the anime at Jump Fest this year. I didn't exactly know what it was going to be. I was thinking at like the absolute worst what it would be is pretty much just like a bunch of text and some cool music in the background, and then at the very, very end of it, we would get like an animated scene of like Ichigo going Bonkai or something. So I was kind of sort of right. We actually got way more anime footage than I thought we were going to from this trailer. Some of it I think is the finished product, and a lot of it is just stuff they pretty much just preliminarily animated, I guess is the best way for me to describe it. But, honestly, this trailer does an amazing job at building hype. Hype for a series that you have to understand, if this comes out at the revealed date, October of next year, October of 2022, that will be over 10.5 years since the last time we've had a Bleach animated anything. All right, March of 2012 was when it ended, and we're talking October of 2022. And I remember the last episode. I remember watching it. I remember making a video about the last Bleach episode all the way back in 2012. And it's just wild to think that we are here. So the beginning of the trailer is just a bunch of text, It's just like, from the mind of Taito Kubo or whatever, and there's some cool music beats in the background, and I wish I could really show it to you, but I can't because copyright and all that. But it's like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then you see a shot of Karakura Town at night, and the animation looks lovely. This is like the best animation in the entire trailer, and this makes sense because this is stuff ripped from like probably episode 1 of the new arc. And we just see some really cool, like we see electricity sparking on some power lines, and then all of a sudden, number 1 cues up in the background, which, screw it, I'm gonna try to sing it. I am gonna back off for this one, but you feel like number 1, shining bright for everyone, living out your fantasy, Barry. Now you stop for all to see. Oh oh my god. Oh my god. And it's like a little bit of a remixed version. Like, there's like, it sounds brand new. It sounds like it was re-recorded for this trailer, honestly. And I'll tell you what, like, you could say anything you want about Bleach. You can bash on the lack of art or lack of backgrounds. You could bash on the ending. You could bash on pretty much anything of that series. But I'll tell you what, there is not a better hype song in the entirety of anime than number one. It's the greatest one. Bleach's music was, in general, probably top-level anime soundtracks of all time. Openings and endings as well, but that soundtrack was fire every single day of the week, and I dare you to say otherwise. So anyway, after we have that shot, and as number one is just playing in the background the entire time, we have a shot of Ichigo's foot, and then his face, and then his long-ass Zanpakuto is behind him, and just to give you an idea of just how big that sword is. You know, the other day, when we were doing the top 20, not top 20, the best manga of 2021 we were doing with Roger and everybody in that stream, when we were talking about Bleach there, a lot of people brought up that, like, maybe one of the big reasons why Bleach is coming back now, or why it has such a resurgence, is because right now in Shonen Jump, like, series like Jujutsu Kaisen that involve, like, spirits and souls and that kind of aesthetic are very, very popular. So they're like, oh, because that's really popular right now, let's resurrect Bleach, which was kind of, like, all about that, right? And so there weren't, like right now, a lot of manga that are airing, and not airing, but, like, you know, serialized in Shonen Jump are kind of about that style. And just back when Bleach was serialized in the magazine, like at the beginning in the early mid-2000s and all that stuff, there really wasn't a lot of other series like that. So that's like the idea that it's being brought up now, okay? Well, anyway, we see Ichigo with his giant sword. Remember, he's in his full-bring Shikai now, okay? So the form he was in at the end of the last arc, you know, he has the full-bring augments, he's got like the cool tattoos, and he's got like the trench knife-shaped sword that's indicative of his full-bring sword that he had. We then see some hollows. The hollows look great. They're all howling. I can't wait to hear that hollow sound effect again. That's going to be so good. And then we see shots of all of Ichigo's friends. So we see Chad rearing up his left arm of the devil. We see Orihime shouting. I mean, she's probably using her Shun Rika, but in this, it's just she's shouting as light glows around her. And then we see Uryu with his short bow, you know, kind of jumping in the sky and launching some arrows at the hollows, okay? And then we just have, like, Taito Kubo, you know, original story from Taito Kubo. And then we just have a scene of Yuha's, like, you know, lower mouth, like grinning. We see his mustache. We see his lips. And it's like, oh, man, it's coming. It's happening. All right. Oh, God. So this is really cool. So it's a really cool scene. And like I said, probably going to be the first episode. So it kind of gives me confidence that this animation that we see looks pretty much done at this point, if not already done. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident, like, first episode is going to look amazing, okay? So we have a couple more text, and then for the rest of the trailer, as the song is still playing, we have scenes throughout the remainder of the manga that are kind of animated. Basically what it seems is they took the scene from the manga, you know, they colorized it, added in some basic movements, lip flaps and stuff, and some light effects and stuff in the background, but it's not like the finished product of the anime, which makes sense given that a lot of these scenes they're adapting next in the trailer are scenes that happen sometimes near right at the very, very end of the arc. And at this point, I should bring up spoilers, because there are a few scenes here that actually kind of spoil. Like, we see Rose in his Bonkai, we see Toshiro in his Bonkai, and actually a big spoiler involving Toshiro's Bonkai. It's right here in the trailer. We see a scene with Unohana that might be kind of spoilery. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, the trailer already showed it off. It's just taking all these manga panels, colorizing them, making them look as cool as they can to showcase all of the characters. So it looks great. It looks phenomenal. I'm just saying this is probably not going to be the finished product, because some of them don't look as polished as the earlier scenes with Ichigo fighting the hollows with Chad, Uryu, and Orihime and everybody, right? We have a scene with Rukia wearing her Soul Palace gear with the goggles and everything as she's facing off against Asnote. Then we have a scene with Renji flipping his goggles up as he faces down Maste Masculine. Then we have a scene with Urahara as he goes up against Askinak Levar. Then we have the scene with Yoruichi when she makes her first real proper appearance in the arc, which is like well over 100 chapters in, when Ichigo and everybody are about ready to rocket back to the Soul Palace inside of Kisuke Uehara's little cannonball thing. She just appears out of nowhere, and like her hand like goes into Orihime's boobs, if I remember that scene correctly. But anyway, that's the scene where it's from. not Orihime's boobs, just the scene where Yoruichi's there after she does that. And then we have the scene with Byakuya and Senbon Sakura, his new improved Senbon Sakura, as he faces off against Asnote. Then we have Toshiro, I believe, in his fight with Basby. Then Shinji there when he faces off against Bambietta. Then we have Soifone against BG9. Then we have Kensei Mugaruma just shouting, probably shouting at Maste Masculine during their fight. Rose using his Bonkai against Mask. Sajin Komamura just shouting once again during the fight with Bambietta. Then we have Uketake, which could take place at any real point. There's something involving the Mimi Hage, of course. We have Unohana with her hair down, and that kind of lends to her more malicious sort of nature, and we reveal, of course, that she is the first Kenpachi, so that's kind of a big deal. Then Kenpachi himself with his sword, Nozarashi, I believe that's during the Gremmy fight. Then Mayuri during his fight with Pernida. Then Toshiro in his fully realized adult Bonkai with the cool armor and shoulder pads and everything, and Toshiro is an adult in this scene, once again, kind of a big spoiler for his character, but whatever. And then we have a scene with Shunsui Kyoraku as he's like, you know, with the cool shadow effect, and he's just like, you know, I am the captain commander of the Gote 13, like, woo! And then speaking of, in the next panel, we have a close-up of Yamamoto's eye. Just his eye as just flames are blazing around him. Of course, that's his Bonkai Zanka no Tachi. And then we end it out with a scene with Ichigo taking out his, going Bonkai. Now, this might be when he goes Bonkai against Iban, the Iran card that first appears that, like, lands on Ichigo's bed, and he's like, get off my bed, you dick. And he's like, make me. And then he goes Bonkai, right? Might be that scene, but I'm also thinking, because this scene at the end when Ichigo's going Bonkai, by the way, Getsuga Tensho is purple now. It's purple and black rather than the red and black that it had during his Bonkai. And this makes sense because there was actually promotional images, even in the Elite Ace mentioned this, he showed this to me on Twitter, where it's like this original like artwork by Kubo shows that the Getsuga was maybe intended to be purple and black at the beginning. It might have just been one of those situations that, like, you know, the mangaka does not have complete control over the anime. The anime department kind of does their own thing. I don't exactly know how the whole dynamic goes with that. I'm not sure if, like, the anime, like, department or the company, like, buys the rights to the manga, and then they can do pretty much whatever they want with it, and the mangaka themselves has very little influence. But I don't know exactly the process, but I know with this project, Kubo is working pretty damn close with the staff and with the anime team to get it exactly right, which is very, very reassuring, especially if they're going to tweak the ending a bit. That pretty much has to happen. So maybe Kubo approached them and he's just like, you know, honestly, like, the original anime always had Ichigo's Bonkai and his Getsuga Tensho in his Bonkai. They had it as black and red, and it looks cool, but maybe Kubo was like, honestly, I always intended the Getsuga Tensho in his Bonkai to be more purple and black. I mean, that was just the way maybe he always envisioned it, but the way the anime did it was just like, all right, well, that's the anime. I don't have any influence over that, so I guess that's the way they're doing it, right? And so maybe this time around, they're like, oh, okay, Kubo-sensei, you want us to make it purple? We'll make it purple as hell. Purple! Hold on. Damn it, tree, you're in the way. There we go, purple! We made it! Alright, so, yeah, Ichigo goes Bonkai, his full bring Bonkai, takes out Zangetsu, Tensa Zangetsu, and uses a Getsuga Tensho, and that brings us into the final scene of the trailer. We also have a scene of, Yuha with his face revealed as he, like, you know, decapitates or slices that one Arankar in half. And so, you know, Looters, I think his name was Looters Frieden or whatever. He, like, slices him in half or whatever just because he gave him a little bit of lip. And, no, he didn't even give him a little bit of lip. If I remember correctly, he was like, report from what you've learned from the Soul Society, Looters. And Looters explains, he's just like, yes, Yuha, it would seem that we would require 5 days in order to rally our troops to effectively take them out. And Yuha is like, 5 days. Tell me something, Looters. Are you a prophet? And he's like, what do you mean? Are you a prophet? Can you see the future? No. Then why are you telling me of stuff that's going to happen in 5 days? He's like, well, I was just advising you. And then Yuha just kills him, just blows his ass up because that's how Yuha rolls. And then so we get the end of it. Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War arc, revert your roots. 2022, October. Ooh. I'm excited. I'm pumped. Are you guys pumped? I'm pretty pumped. Yeah, it's going to be wild watching and, reviewing it again. So the style that I'm going to do, hopefully I'll have this microphone situation figured out in another year. But the idea is I'm going to do, rather than weekly reviews like I did with like the backdrop and the suit and tie, I want to do a Bleach-themed podcast. Okay, and the name Boncast, which I got from a fan. I did not come up with that. I am not clever enough. There was a fan of mine named The Meta that named that like 2-3 years ago when I first mentioned it, right? So we're going to do podcast format, and there's still so much I have to work out with that. But it's cool because I figure that way sometimes I could be doing it like this just by myself, but then also I can bring guests on for the podcast. I don't know if I'm going to do it like every week, and so like every episode we do one episode of the podcast, or maybe like every 2 episodes of the anime we do 1 episode of the podcast. Something along those lines. It might be like an hour and a half long. It might not be that long, once a week or once every 2 weeks. So got to figure all that stuff out. But that's the basic style I'm going to be going with, and I'll also be able to put that up on like Spotify and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the Bleach trailer. I am really hyped. And you know what? Like, I'll tell you what, everybody just seems like Bleach fans are some of the most avid fans of any anime I have seen, okay? Because I talked about it for 5 years, and it's just like, for years and years and years, it's like, oh man, we have nothing. The anime ended, and then the manga ended, and it's just like nothing. And then it just takes one trailer with #1 rocking out in the background, and just like, it's back! Yes! So yeah, that'll be it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Not a very long one, but I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, catch it back here. There's probably going to be other trailers between now and then. But for right now, I'd say as far as like a year out from these being released, pretty solid trailer. Very solid trailer. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking, Barry, Ichigo, and Rukia. Benehime signing out.